Hey guys, Devin here with Dennis Jarvis. He is the founder,
CEO,
CEO,
Bitcoin.com. Yeah.
CEO of Bitcoin.com. Tell us about yourself real quick.
All right, cool. Thank you. I have been in the crypto space for a few years now, probably since 2013. I'm a longtime tech industry professional. I started my career at Apple in Silicon Valley back in 1999. I worked there for a long time before moving to Japan, where I live currently for the last 13 years. After I left Apple, I worked in e-commerce for a big e-commerce company called Rakuten, and then I worked at a blockchain startup, a Japanese blockchain startup called Orb for a few years. And then in 2018, I joined Bitcoin.com as their chief product officer, and I've been CEO for the last couple of years at Bitcoin.com now. So, longtime Japanese resident, but American by birth, and I love Tokyo. I love the easy access to the mountains and getting out there and skiing, and talking to all my friends at meetups about Bitcoin and crypto.
Cool. Yeah, Tokyo's fun.
Yeah.
I was there way back in the day. That was the first country I actually went to when I traveled. So I was 18, just some kid with like $1,000 to his name. I think I had $2,000. Made it for 2 months before I had to call my grandma and be like, I ran out of money. Can you please send me something? Buy me a plane ticket back. Great times. I loved the food there. It was fantastic.
Food is one of the best things about Japan, especially Tokyo. It's so many great restaurants.
Yeah.
A lot of them accept Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or other cryptos as well as form of payment, due to largely like this groundswell of like support for crypto in the market, and people going out there and basically onboarding their favorite restaurants or merchants into the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah. So then how does Japan right now compare to, say, like Miami or Puerto Rico? Because I keep hearing, I haven't personally been to Miami outside of like 6 hours back in March when I was flying down to El Salvador. So I had that interim period. You get the day-long layover. I didn't see a ton of Bitcoin stuff there, but I keep hearing that it's big there. How does it compare to, say, Miami?
Yeah, so I think Miami is very publicly like a crypto or Bitcoin first city, thanks largely to the mayoral administration taking a really strong stance, pro crypto stance there, and really promoting the heck out of it, and like bringing like huge conferences to town, and supporting like merchants in Miami as well, getting onboarded into the crypto scene. Tokyo is on the public side, or the governmental side, like more low key, I think, than Miami for sure. However, beneath the surface, there is like two interesting communities of people, I think, in Japan. One would be the trading community, the longtime traders in Japan who at the retail level are like for the most part like housewives who manage the home finances in Japan, who started off back in the 90s and early 2000s trading at a really I think high level or professional level in forex markets, so trading foreign exchange currencies in Japan. And then this evolved with the introduction of Bitcoin, and then subsequently every other crypto into like a huge community of traders in Japan. And it's largely like a really domestic Japanese type of community, trading on Japanese crypto exchanges and interacting with one another in domestic Japanese language groups, and that's one very interesting community. So very, very passionate investor slash trader community in Japan. And then there is like a great builder community there too, of Japanese, but also a lot of foreigners who travel, want to be digital nomads, work on the road. They come to Japan, and they're part of this amazing builder community for crypto in Tokyo as well.
Gotcha. Do you know of any particular groups? Like if someone were to go to Japan right now, is there any particular group they should try and check out?
Yeah, I mean, I would join like the next Ethereum meetup or the next Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash meetup, and you'll see like a lot of crypto people there, a lot of builders. So meetups is a great way to the website meetups is a great way to get introduced to like a lot of what's going on in the crypto space in Japan. There's always post-COVID now, thankfully, a lot of them have come back. There's always something going on every single week. And then there's a lot of intersection also if you're a developer or aspiring developer between the coding bootcamp groups and crypto in Tokyo as well. So a lot of intersection there in the form of coding bootcamp type meetups that are crypto focused. So
Gotcha. So I usually like to find the more underground stuff whenever I roll into town. Do you know of any more like really low key type of things that someone should go to, someone should go see?
crypto wise or just
Crypto wise or otherwise. I mean, hey, if there's any hidden gems.
Yeah, so there is like Japan or Tokyo in particular is famous for its nightlife.
Yeah, there's always Shinjuku.
Shinjuku, Roppongi, Shibuya, all great neighborhoods that have like amazing places to go and eat and drink and have a good time. And yeah, there's a lot of again like intersection with crypto. A lot of these venues, will accept crypto as well. There's a very great bar that I would love to get back to very soon called Brewdog in Roppongi, and Two Dogs. Brewdog is also in Roppongi, but Two Dogs in Roppongi. Great pizza and beer, accepts crypto for payment. Pink Cow is another great restaurant / bar, great hangout place, very low-key underground, accepts crypto. Yeah, so, but I mean, there's just so much to do in Japan. In Tokyo, like there's the nightlife outside of Tokyo, there's the outdoor life, the mountains, the ocean, skiing, surfing, kiteboarding, tons of sports and recreational stuff to do too.
Gotcha. So I'm sure everyone's got a story like, God, what is the word I'm looking for? It's like your hallelujah story, so to speak. So for me in Japan, it was like I spent the whole day looking for a place to stay because I hadn't had anything lined up because the place I had lined up was like, no, we can't do this for you. Spent the whole day, 40-pound backpack that I'm lugging around with me everywhere. I go from neighborhood to neighborhood, hop on the train, ask a million people how to get, from wherever to wherever. Finally, I come across this small little, I want to call it a ramen shop, but it was really more like soba, more like udon noodles or something. And so you sit down and you have to go through this back alley to get there, and it's like just these corner shops of like, there's only 5 seats, and there's a line like 50 people long or something. So like my story is that, all day long, hadn't eaten anything, lugging around the backpack, finally sit down, order a tempura soba. That's the one thing about Japan that I'll never forget. You got anything like that?
I mean, there's so much great food. Like a lot of stories around like what was your favorite experience in Tokyo? Revolve around dining out because there's there's tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands of restaurants in Tokyo alone, and many of them are outstanding in the quality of the food and the preparation. Is tremendous even for like a $5 meal in Japan. So. I've been in Tokyo for 13 years now, and I think of my experience there as a lot of like small victories rather than like one big aha moment is like my level of Japanese fluency improves or my knowledge of the neighborhood improves or this kind of thing. But to be sure, there is you don't ever have to eat at the same restaurant twice unless you really want to because there's always a great experience like right around the door. I like when I visit the mountains, as I'm an avid skier, to really experience like the local country, style culture in Japan as well, which can be just a really refreshing change of pace, from the city, as everyone sits around a table on tatami mats and has a bowl of udon, for example, and some tea, and gets to experience like life a little bit different than the way that it's in the busy urban centers.
Gotcha. So what was it that made you want to move to Japan?
So I mentioned I worked for Apple for a long time, and I relocated to Japan as an expat, and then
And that was for Rakuten?
for Apple, yeah.
Oh, Apple,
Yeah.
not Rakuten.
No, yeah, I worked for Apple in Cupertino, California for 10 years. And then was offered the opportunity to work as an expat in Tokyo and lead a team there. And I did that for a while. And then after I left Apple, I loved Japan so much, I stayed. So.
Cool. And so then while you were doing all that work for Apple, for Rakuten, for all these different companies, were you then working on Bitcoin.com on the side? Or did it kind of just, like, did it start as a hobby and then burst into this giant conglomeration? Or like, how did that get started?
So while I was working, yeah, I guess it was been around 2013. I bought my first Bitcoin, and I bought it on Mount Gox. It's funny, like a lot of people here say MT Gox, like, but everybody I know says Mount Gox.
Yeah, I say Mount Gox too.
Yeah. Anyway, and
Isn't it Mount?
that's what I've always said.
Yeah.
You know, the original name of that, or the original purpose of that exchange was trading Magic the Gathering cards. And so the name is literally Magic the Gathering Online Exchange, MTGOX.
Okay.
And then they pivoted to Bitcoin. But anyway, that's where I bought my first Bitcoin and really started to get more involved in the space as just like an everyday, beginner to Bitcoin. Although it was a much smaller world then, the crypto world was much smaller, I still started from the same place that like everybody does, which is just stumbling across it one day and then being excited by the possibility, the implications of a decentralized digital currency for the world that not controlled by any centralized authority, and went from there. I eventually joined a employee number 3 or 4 of a small Japanese blockchain startup in Tokyo after Rakuten, and worked there for 4 years, building out a series of products for this very small company. And during that time, became more involved, with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community, and ultimately I just emailed the owner of Bitcoin.com, Roger Ver. And from that email back in 2018, it led to a meeting and interviews and joining the Bitcoin.com team in 2018. So.
Gotcha. Right, I forgot. CEO, not founder.
Yep. The hired gun.
Hired gun. Well, hey, you got a very important job, man. You got to go to all these conferences and be like, go to Bitcoin.com.
It seems like that sometimes, but there is also a really fun aspect to it, and I really enjoy seeing the progress that we make as a team. Building out all the latest features and expanding the scope of what we're capable of doing in the crypto space, what we're capable of offering people, and watching the product family grow. So.
Gotcha. Well, let's dig into the business side of Bitcoin.com a little bit. Now, I know that a large part of the foundation of any business is in marketing and in having the right products for the right audience. So you guys clearly have the right products, you clearly have the right audience. How did you get to the point where you guys started getting your first people in? I know you kind of came late to the party, but maybe you know the answer to that too. How did you get to the point where you started to get people in, and then once you got the people in, how did you personally decide to run the marketing to get more and more people reading Bitcoin.com?
Well, I think the evolution of that is really in 2 stages. The company started by the founder, Roger, the owner, who bought the domain name Bitcoin.com and used it as a marketing and advocacy website, and then ultimately wallet for Bitcoin. And that got us our first wave of people interested in Bitcoin. And this is even very, very early days of crypto. So there's a few coins out there. Ethereum had just launched, maybe maybe 10 big cryptos at the time, but Bitcoin.com was exclusively focused on Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related issues and products for a few years after that. When I joined and then ultimately became CEO, I think we had naturally arrived at this point where it's time to expand the product family to include all of the great stuff that is going on in crypto. DeFi summer of 2020 was a wake-up call to all of us who were pursuing products to enable the financial prosperity of our users, right? And then here's DeFi, right? Like tremendous world of opportunity in terms of like lending, borrowing, doing all kinds of crazy or risky degen, type investments. And we knew that in order to participate, fully in all the financial opportunity for our users, we had to expand the product offering. So now, Bitcoin.com is the premier online destination to welcome millions of people to the world of crypto, all of crypto.
Gotcha. How about any specific campaigns that you've run that you're particularly proud of to get more users in?
So we don't do a lot of paid media campaigns, which is, we're unique in the sense that we have a massive organic user acquisition funnel. We are the top hit, for anybody who searches for Bitcoin on Google or the App Store or the Play Store, literally number one in most markets. And we have a very tailored marketing strategy to convert those search results into members of the Bitcoin.com community or ecosystem. And then we do a little bit of campaigns here and there. We sponsor WBA light heavyweight fighter Gilberto Ramirez, who's fighting in Abu Dhabi in November, and he's very much like a crypto friendly, a crypto enthusiast, fighter, and our core principles and align really well with Gilberto as a person and Bitcoin.com as a team and who we represent. So we do look for opportunities to do sponsorships there where there's a shared way of getting our message out to the world through some alternative venue, like in this case boxing. So
Gotcha. So then back to the marketing stuff, would you say that overall you mostly do search engine optimization plus organic giveaways and stuff to your followers, and then people just really, really like you enough that they're like, hey, you got to check this out?
yeah.
Is that mostly it?
So yes, I think that SEO for sure is a main focus for us. We generate all of our own editorial content for Bitcoin.com News, our news product, which has millions of monthly readers, and it's our in-house editorial team that is always cranking out really interesting, compelling stories on crypto and world economics. That kind of fuels our SEO engine for attracting people to the company. So creating original content, that's how you improve your SEO, right? And build your brand. So I think that's a super important aspect of marketing in terms of giveaways. In crypto today, there are not very many better marketing strategies than giving away free money.
Yeah, right.
So if you're considering a campaign, and spending on user acquisition, it's hard to beat the conversion of a giveaway at the moment. So
Yeah.
we do that as well. So
Yeah, I always said that was going to happen too. I saw how marketing was going for everything in the grocery store. You're like, oh, you get a free sample.
yeah,
But then as I saw things more and more as I'm growing up, I'm like, okay, so these guys are offering 50% off jeans. These guys are offering buy one, get one free. This guy's like, oh, buy one, then you'll get 2 jeans for the same price. And then at some point, all these marketing agencies started bribing me with hey, we'll give you $150 if you just take an hour to talk about your marketing strategy with us. This is back in my moving company days and stuff, and post that because I got all the ads. They're like, we'll bribe you for an hour of your time. I'm like, so I saw that coming. Eventually it was just going to be straight up, hey, I'll give you $500 if you use this.
yeah.
So you guys have any big campaigns that you're thinking of running soon? Any big giveaways?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. We are launching our own token in November. It's called Verse, and it's the rewards token that powers all of the services in the Bitcoin.com ecosystem. And so to promote the public sale for that token, we're giving away $10,000 to the one lucky winner who participates in that public sale. So that's one example of how we use the free money attractor in marketing. But we also do airdrops from time to time, and other giveaways as well. So.
Gotcha. So all that stuff is awesome for people already in crypto. What about anything that you do to onboard people who aren't in crypto yet?
Yeah, we do no-fee campaigns sometimes for buying crypto.
Okay.
So you can get crypto for like a no fee, which is the way that it should be, I think, in the cryptocurrency industry by default or as a norm. And we'll probably get there at some point. Like if you want to put your money into Robinhood and you want to put $1,000 into Robinhood, when you deposit $1,000, $1,000 shows up. It's not $1,000 minus some bank transfer fees and funding fees and stuff like that to participate in equities trading. But there's still a lot of fees associated with purchasing crypto or getting your first crypto or funding your wallet. And we do some campaigns around eliminating those fees from time to time. And we're slowly trying to push, from our perspective, like the industry towards no fee, onboarding for crypto. So.
Gotcha. So just yesterday, I got to interview Bobby Lee, who has this little card that's like yay big. It's the size of a credit card.
Ballet wallet, yeah.
The Ballet wallet, yeah. Have you guys ever considered doing a giveaway kind of like that, where you like just mail it out to a whole bunch of people, preload it with like $5 of Bitcoin?
Yeah. So from our experience, like giving away like Bitcoin or any other crypto to every user is a little bit less effective in attracting or retaining users than giving away crypto as part of a giveaway, a contest.
Gotcha.
And sort of like building like some community enthusiasm and engagement around the contest or around the product or service that we're featuring at that time. I think that the latter results in like a more engaged user base, or the acquisition results in more engaged users than just giving it away. Because I think that what we learned early on is when you give away, if you gave away $5 in Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum or anything to 10,000 people, most of that is going to sit in like a wallet that never gets opened again, right?
Yeah.
So what exactly you're paying for? You want to pay for users that are active and engaged and interested in taking the next steps on their crypto journey. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And of course, the best way to do that is get people to reach out to you instead of spamming them with, hey, here's this wallet, check this out.
Yeah.
I totally get that. When you've tried those types of giveaways, though, in the past, walk me through this. How did you choose to run that? Was that literally just, hey, here's this this little wallet, take it.
So, for example, we might have gone to a conference in days past and given away like paper wallets to like everybody in the conference, right? Every single person. And the paper wallets may have had anywhere from like a small amount of crypto to a few of them might have had a few $100s worth of crypto, right? So we would use a tool to generate all these paper wallets, pass them out, then track like how many of those wallets were actually redeemed, right, or actually resulted in a download and install of the app, and not many, right?
Really?
Yeah, comparatively, right? So like I think that like maybe it's because we're doing it at conferences, but we just found that like the appeal of like having like a couple of dollars is not really enough of a motivator to get somebody interested in the campaign. I think you need to go beyond that, and so large giveaway campaigns where you're giving away a big prize to one or a few people do a little bit better job of capturing the interest of the user, and then you have to build around that campaign the engagement with the community, right? Like and to keep people active after the campaign is run. So
yeah. So do you think it was because you just gave away $5 and then people were kind of directionless?
Yeah, not directionless, but like just maybe wasn't sufficient incentive to complete the steps necessary to claim the $5, let alone become an engaged user, right? Go to the App Store, download the app. Maybe it's because it's a conference and you're at conferences you can get a lot of swag, a lot of stuff, and you're kind of inundated from marketing, from all these different companies, right? But
I have at least 1,000 pieces of swag just sitting in my house right now.
Yeah.
I'll never look at them. I'll never use them. It's most of them suck.
Some of them are useful, but most of them are just
I like the pens. Not because any of them are actually great, but I just like to say I've got a million pens.
Yeah.
You know, you're always losing your pens.
Yeah.
So
I like the socks. That's my one swag that I always grab. I'm wearing Chainalysis socks right now from crypto analysis company called Chainalysis.
I'm kind of jelly.
And every conference they roll out a new sock. I'm like, that's the one piece of swag I got to get. So.
And let that be a lesson to you. Like, if you're going to give away swag at any conference, anything whatsoever, make it useful.
Yeah.
Dude, back when I had my moving company, I talked to Home Advisor about buying leads. And they sent me this giant stainless steel water bottle. I'm sure that thing cost like $30 to ship. Another $20 or so for the bottle itself. But I still have that thing, and I still talk about it.
Useful swag is the good swag,
Yeah, that is
squishy balls, not so useful.
No, not at all. Like, that's effective marketing. Yeah. It baffles me. Honestly, it baffles me. I've gone to a lot of small business expos too. It baffles me how much of the swag people give away is just junk.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with this? Throw it in a landfill.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So then when you went to these conferences, was this mostly like people already in finance, already in crypto, or was it kind of just the average person going to, like, say, a neighborhood fair or a carnival?
Both. There would be crypto conferences, and then within that realm, there's the conferences that are meant to engage with people new to the space.
Yeah.
And then there's the conferences that are meant for people who are already in the space, right?
Like Coin Agenda.
Like Coin Agenda, for example. So both of those flavors. Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you see a different response rate in terms of actual redemptions?
Not really. No. Yeah.
What was the percentage like on that?
Very, very small. I can't recall off the top of my head right now, but very low conversion rate on that. So.
Like sub 1%?
Yeah, definitely sub 1%. Yeah.
God, yeah, totally not worth it to do. All right. Well, how about let's go back to more of the business side of what you do. Is there any particular bit of advice you'd want to give out to people?
Advice for whom?
Well, just advice for anyone who's trying to get into business, start their own thing, do their own thing. Another thing that I always tell people is sell and then build, because everything is based on marketing. Even if you don't like to think that, we like to think, oh, I can just build a smart contract, or I can just build, this launch pad and magically everything's changed. But yeah, you can build a launch pad. If you don't have venture capitalists or you don't have investors that actually want to use your launch pad, you don't have an effective launch pad.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a great point. I agree with that. If you're just starting out and you're a builder, then you definitely have to, build. But before you get halfway done with what you imagine to be the first version of your product to be, you have to have signed up, 10 people who are willing to pay for your product. And this is maybe not as challenging, or might not seem challenging on the surface, but
it's fucking hard.
It's hard. Yeah, you want people who if you're people who are willing to spend their money to buy your product will give you the best feedback, especially those first 10 people about how to improve your product. And that's the most important marketing that I think you can do in the very beginning, is to get your first 10 users. So, but don't wait until you think that the product is done. Just get there halfway, and then go tell your friends and your family and people that you met along the way, hey, I've got this product idea that's maybe not quite complete yet. I'd love your feedback on it. I'd love to know if it's something that you would pay for.
Yeah.
Right. If it's something you buy, and then you'll get a lot of people who give you a lot of feedback, and then hopefully you'll get your first 10 customers out of that process too. So
cool. Personally, I'm a fan of doing, I call it the $1,000 method, where you want to imagine you've got, say, I don't know, a landscaping company or something. You want to validate the idea. Or you've got an NFT line. You want to validate the idea. You take $1,000, you boil it down to the simplest possible thing you can do to help someone out, like that. Like you with the wallets. You give away $5. That's easy. It costs me $5 to send it to someone, whatever. And then with the grand, You go out and you're like, hey, can I help you out? Would you pay, $5 for this? Would you pay $20 for this? Would you pay $30 for this? But you actually test people with their actual money. And you don't, it doesn't matter that you don't have a product, because you can just say, well, you know what? Sorry, I can't give you this right now because it's not built, but I will give you this, which is even nicer. You know?
Yeah, very good.
So I'm kind of a fan of doing that one. Kind of gives you a little bit of validation with the idea too. Plus, it's a little easier to do paid ads for like $1,000 than it is to go and post on social media for 6 months before you finally get someone who's like, I'll buy that from you. Yeah. You want to talk about investing?
Sure.
Cool. What advice do you have?
So on a personal level, I can invest in crypto projects, right? Almost exclusively. I don't recommend that for most people.
Right.
You try to create a balanced, diversified portfolio, but unless you're insane like I am, and you go all in on crypto, you need to you need to be very diligent. Like there used to be this. Well, people say this phrase in crypto is pretty common now. It's cliche almost. Do your own research. BYOR, right?
Yeah.
In the early days, like this used to be possible. Now, there are so many products and projects out there right now. It is really, really difficult to do your own research on even a large percentage of them. So I think you have to follow your own individual areas of interest, the things that you're going to be most engaged and passionate about as a user, in order to know if that's something that you're going to be able to spend a lot of time and money on as an investor. So if you're into infrastructure, then that's one area you could really look at. If you're into the creator economy and art and collectibles as NFTs, then that's another area where you can dive really deep. But there's so much opportunity out there now as an investor in the crypto space. I think you look for where places that you can narrow it down so that you can do enough research, and then when you do the research, look for a real community of people who are enthusiastic about it. Is the project go to their GitHub repo, look at how much, the contributions that are being made. Make sure that they're not fake contributions, ask people in the community to tell them, you what they think about it. Talk to the founders if you can, stalk them at conferences, collect as much information as you can before you invest a serious amount of money in any project. And even then, understand that in crypto anyways, it's a high risk endeavor, right?
Yeah.
So
and the whole field is high risk by its very nature.
Right.
We have no idea if this stuff's going to shut down by the government tomorrow, or if it's going to be the future of everything.
Yeah.
Personally, I say the future because I see where it solves so many other issues. Like we have the NFTs giving royalties to artists without them needing to go through a middleman, right? We have again with the NFTs, because it's just a great use case, right? We have that for concert tickets, which allows people to avoid the issues with scalpers and allows you to avoid the fraud right there. And then we have that to also, verify someone's identity or someone's access to something, like we see with a lot of clubs, like, love them or hate them, Bored Ape Yacht Club. You have to admit, you get the NFT, you get into the club, you're a part of the cool kids, whatever. Whether you like Bored Ape Yacht Club themselves or not, everyone else can do the exact same thing, and a lot of people are doing cool shit like that too.
Yeah.
Like the Bit Angels one is doing that, right? Aren't they? I thought I heard that a little bit ago.
Well, just here today, there's over 10 pitches from various founders and entrepreneurs here to the Bit Angels investment group.
Yeah, no, I mean Michael. He said something about how he wanted to do the NFT line to, access investors and parties.
Oh yeah. He's doing a unique NFT project also that's related to. I won't get into all of that, but
stuff that I don't even know about right now. Mentioned for 30 seconds on stage or less.
So much out there, So you find that area of interest, and you just pull on that thread and keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and then when you're confident that you think, in your view, that it's there, the team is there, the technology is there, the art is there, that the concept is there. the community is there, all of these things, and then maybe then invest. So
Yeah, and then of course don't go all in, because you go all in, you're kind of
yeah,
shooting yourself in the head there.
yeah, just a little bit of your bankroll.
Right.
Don't put it all in on one project. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people too. I'm like, well,
Although, having said that, a lot of the very early founders in this space, went all in on Bitcoin. Just the one thing they went all in on, and that worked out well for them too. So
that is fair. There's always that.
they're very extreme outliers of risk return.
Yeah, it's always one of those things where it's like, yeah, we could get an extra $20 million here if we go all in, but it's like, well, yeah, I can get the extra 20 mil, but even if I don't, by not going all in, I get 10 million or I get 15 million. It's still way more money than I even know what to do with. You know what I mean? Yeah. For the average person, yeah, you're absolutely right. Diversify your portfolio, motherfuckers. Feels very snakes on a plane like.
Diversify.
Diversify. So let's get into tokens a little bit, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So earlier I asked you the question about, the weird one that I don't know that anyone's actually talking about this because I haven't seen it, but it's the idea of a company that sells equity in their company, plus also as a stock, plus they also have a token as an investment vehicle
Right.
that would operate as a sort of de facto form of ownership. Like for instance, if we had a supposed DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, for those of you at home who don't know, if we had a supposed DAO that had a token that gave you governance, that gave you voting rights and everything, but it had a parent company that also sold equity in its actual company. So what are your thoughts on how that would work?
If I were in the founder seat in an organization like that, you want to keep the entity separate for sure. Just from a regulatory perspective, dealing with the SEC in the U.S., you don't want any confusion about if that token is actual equity in a company or not. So you probably have a U.S. incorporated entity that's selling the equity to investors, and then likely an offshore entity that is the DAO, right?
Yep.
And then you can airdrop DAO tokens to your investors that way after they come on board as equity investors, and hopefully, although it's still a new space, avoid any regulatory entanglements as a result of doing that. So those are still pretty unique opportunities here and there in the crypto space. The equity plus DAO token opportunity. So.
Yeah, I can see it working in a couple ways. I could imagine something like, say, Uniswap Labs selling equity in Uniswap Labs, the company, but then also having the product of Uniswap, the DAO, and then also going out to build, I don't know, unicorn NFT, whatever, Uniswap NFTs that they just happen to launch from the DAO and stuff like that.
Yeah, they kind of did that approach in the opposite way, right? They launched Uni first, and then raised through Uniswap Labs equity round. So
yeah, that's a pretty interesting one there. Yeah. Let's talk about chains, blockchains. Are there any really underground type of chains? You can tell I'm really into the underground stuff because it's not known, Yeah. Are there any lesser known chains that you really like right now?
Yeah, so I'm fairly agnostic in terms of the infrastructure layer. I think that there are at this point a lot of different chains building their own vision of how to overcome the blockchain trilemma, how to make your chain decentralized, scalable, and secure all at the same time, so that it's fast, it's low cost, and it's largely immune to attacks. So it's not clear that there will be one winner in that space overall. Probably more like an oligopoly of winners in the future, all taking a slightly different tack on it. Chains for different purposes. So I don't really have a favorite in that regard. But I'm very curious to know, like, what some of the L1s that have received massive valuations this year are going to do. Because, for example, Aptos and Sui, two L1s coming out of people formerly from Meta DM project teams, um, raising huge seed rounds at like multi-billion-dollar valuations before really anything related to their project has gotten off the ground. So the valuation implies tremendous potential, right? So I'm very, very curious to see what that looks like. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it might kind of suck. It might end up something like how we have Facebook, and then we also have MySpace, we have Twitter. Everyone's trying to get at this slightly different target audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't use Twitter very much. I suck at my Twitter game sucks. My whole social media game totally sucks.
Gotta be on Twitter though.
Yeah, you have to. That's why I've gotta force myself to figure out how to Twitter, so to speak. It's tough though for me because I'm a long form kind of guy. I don't want to sit there and like try to condense 3 pages of stuff to like
a thread.
Yeah, one thread. I always thought that was really weird. Am I the only one who thinks this is weird? How Twitter became the de facto place to be like sharing complex economic and blockchain theory over the course of like 20 tweets.
I mean, it's the ultimate influencer network at this point.
Yeah.
Such consolidated access to like notable people in all walks of life. I don't even know that it's about the business model at Twitter as much as it is about the power of controlling the narrative for something. So
Yeah.
Good or bad, it's here to stay. I think.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna see that. I think we're gonna see that a hell of a lot more now, especially, is like the foundation of companies historically has always been built on selling a product. You're Johnson & Johnson, you sell baking soda and toothpaste and floss and all this stuff. You make money because you sell toothpaste. But going forward, as we're connecting the entire globe as it is, I can definitely see companies actually getting to be massive, like we're seeing with Facebook, based nothing more than on the audience they've got. We already do that with media companies as is, so who's to say it's going to be any different with blockchains? I could definitely see some blockchains going this sort of alternative route in paying their miners, where they say, hey, thank you for mining for us. As part of this, we're just going to have you help to recruit people. Not like an MLM, but in kind of a sense, like you get this referral program, you get a little boost in what you get because you're bringing in new users. I could see something like that happening. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. That's one potential way things could evolve. It's just the phase of the market that we're in right now. This somewhat bear market downturn is really like we're going to see a lot of people hunker down and focus on building the next evolution of whatever the stack is for their product, right? And then when the bull market returns, then you'll see the emergence of like various marketing strategies to capture a lot of adoption of user base. But I think right now, like probably the focus is on building these companies that have large war chests, or these organizations do, and they can put their heads down and crank out the next evolution of where they want to take the industry, the space, and then when interest reignites, when the bulls come back, a lot of creative stuff probably be happening. So
yeah, and so lately at this Coin Agenda thing and at the Web3 Expo last week or whenever that was, I've heard a lot of stuff about AI and metaverse being the big things. Where do you think the next wave, so to speak, is going to be? Because we've already had DeFi summer. Of course, we're right now kind of in crypto winter. And before, in years past, we had the ICO wave, we had the IEO wave, we had the IDEO wave, DeFi wave. What are your thoughts on the next wave?
Yeah, I think DeFi will continue to be like a major, focus for crypto. Not to say that these other areas of the industry are not also going to see like probably explosive growth, but it's the one that interests me the most. And the what is DeFi 3.0 going to look like? Is it going to be AI powered, right? Is it going to what are the new primitives that are going to emerge that are creating the new tools for financial prosperity for people? I'm most excited about DeFi and potentially the role that AI has to play in that space in the coming years.
Even if it looks like Skynet?
Skynet, I guess I learned from Terminator Canon, started off as like a traffic management AI, managing LA traffic. But maybe Skynet actually starts off as a trading bot.
It could, yeah.
It could. But I don't know what the metaverse, will be yet. Is it going to be Meta's version of the metaverse? Is it going to be Decentraland? Is it going to be, Axie or, who knows? Is it going to be fully immersive? Is it going to be AR instead of VR? Is it going to be on your phone? Is it going to be wrapping around your head? There's a lot of questions about like where that's headed that I'm more uncertain about in that regard. So,
you want to hear my take?
Yeah.
So I think the whole metaverse thing is basically just going to be the next evolution of, video games, storytelling, media in general.
Yeah.
Because it offers you, as the user, for the first time ever, the scalable, seamless, easy to use ability. Easy once everyone gets into it, kind of like how email is easy now, but getting into it at first sucked. Easy to use way of getting involved with whatever fandom you love. Because
it's that easy to use part that is really sticky for me. Like, what is the way to like reduce friction to get into the metaverse? Right now, like the most frictionless device that we have on us is our phone, right?
Yeah.
You just look at it and you're already into Instagram. You're already into Twitter. You're already into Facebook or Snapchat. Like this is the metaverse, like today, like the proto metaverse today. But if you're looking from a gaming concept, there's more friction involved in sitting in front of your couch and firing up your PlayStation or your Xbox, right? There's even more friction involved in unplugging your Oculus and putting that on, and doing a software update and adjusting the fit, getting it all set and setting your safety boundary and things like that. So I think that who is going to reduce the amount of friction to make it that easy to use way of engaging with whatever's interesting to you, whatever you're a fan of, and what form is it going to take, right? So I think that that's the biggest area of uncertainty for me in the metaverse. So.
Yeah. Of course, then you have the question of do you even need to? Should you? Everyone's asking if they can. Everyone's like, well, can we make it so that you just go from your phone to the metaverse? Imagine we had AR.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's a lot of imagining going on right now.
Yeah, and they're like, can we go from cell phone to button press, 3 buttons, whatever, and then boom, you're in the metaverse and you're transported to this whole new world. And it's like, well, should we? Because there's something nice about the old school video game consoles where you're like, you gotta boot up the PlayStation, you gotta boot up the SNES, you gotta find the cartridge, put it in, and that's just from a psychological standpoint, right? Of that means you're not gonna get completely sucked in and addicted to the world of playing the game, right? Because, well, it takes you 5 minutes, you gotta kind of think, okay, it took me 5 minutes to find this cartridge, maybe I shouldn't play this video game for the next 24 hours of my life. I can see that happening with AR. Yeah. And that's the thing that I don't personally, get behind. Because I'm very much into, I don't even want to say nature in the sense of oh, you gotta go be a hippie in the woods. But I know this idea that you're gonna sit there, stare at your screen for the next 20 hours of your life. It's not good for you. Yeah. That's my big thing. It's should we make it frictionless, so to speak? It's one thing when it's Uber, because you're just going to order, an Uber, or you're going to order a Lyft, and then bang, you get it. That's easy. You're not going to sit there and stare at the Uber thing for the next 20 hours. But the games, I can see that just sucking people right in.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I would always default back down to personal choice. If people want to do that, then it's not a question of should we or shouldn't we create it. Like somebody will, no matter what. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. But I'm kind of in your camp in the sense that yeah, the real world's pretty great.
Yeah.
I love playing games too. I probably spend the majority of my time in the real world if I had the choice. So.
Yeah, no, I feel ya. Dude, I mean, I've had those days where you play for like 3 days straight, and you just play video games, then you're like a zombie afterwards,
Yeah.
you know? And then I have the days where I'm, just on the computer, plugging away at research. But I always like to just take it back to reality. Yeah. Favorite thing is just learning new stuff, really.
Same here.
Yeah, nice. What's the latest thing you've learned? Latest skill you've been working on?
Latest skill I've been working on is public speaking, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
Cool.
I continue to evolve in that regard. Yeah, when you're like the CEO of a company, you've kind of you, you're no longer able to really spend all of your time in one passion area for you personally, right? So if you're coming from product like I did, get to spend as much time with the product team and you have to learn like a whole new set of skills to be an effective leader, effective spokesperson for your company, and that's what I'm learning or struggling through right now. It's going up on stage and being clear and concise in my message and delivering a good talk to hundreds of people. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, I get it. It's tough. I haven't done a whole lot of public speaking myself. I've just done like 2 gigs. Yeah, back in the day, someone hired me to just go up and like be a proxy shareholder for him.
Okay.
Yeah. So I show up and I'm like, I do not know what's going on here. And some lady just comes over, she hands me a sheet, and she's like, hey, so this is this is what you should be reading. I'm like, okay, cool. Just get up right in front of people. I'm like, your company sucks.
Oh boy.
You are the worst people on the planet.
In the deep end.
Right in the deep end. I'm like, ah, shit. It was great too because I got to do that right after I heard the guy make this great presentation about how their company was doing great this quarter. And I'm like,
I wouldn't want you in the audience doing that to me when I'm up there.
Nope.
I'm sure it'll happen one day. So
yeah. No, I was like, I'm so sorry. It's not my words. I'm the proxy. I like you. You're cool. But yeah, it gets tough because I couldn't even work up the passion. You know what I mean? You can't work up that passion if you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
You're like, you guys suck. I think you're pretty cool.
You gotta be
actually.
passionate about it. Yeah, for sure. It's
Absolutely.
really hard to talk about something that you're not passionate about. So.
Yeah. For me, it's surfing, by the way. That was kind of the last skill I learned.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm picking up that vibe.
Yeah. It's weird. Everyone thought I was a surfer before I even know how to surf. And they're like, you're a surfer. I'm like,
I guess I should learn how to surf.
yeah, I'm here now. They have waves. This is the first place I actually went to where I could, was El Salvador. Because you could not, I can't surf in Minnesota. I go to Japan, yeah, they had surfing, but they didn't have any surf rental shops, and I was fat. Dude, I was like, I was not fit. All right, I don't know if I could even surf at that point. It's like, oh shit. But now I learned, like 8 years later, it's like, I can surf now.
Great.
That's gotta go. Yeah, way back in the day.
Well, Devin, thank you very much for the talk today.
Any last minute advice you want to give people? Any tips? Make sure they don't get wrecked. Make sure they find great opportunities.
Yeah, follow your passion. Let that be your guide, right? Because that's how you stay motivated. That's how you stay engaged. That's how you stay up late into the night. Doing the research and the legwork. To decide what you want to contribute to. So
yeah. Well, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being here.